A 228-year-old warship is still on active duty in the United States Navy. It has a crew of 75 sailors. It fires a cannon salute every year. It has been scrapped, condemned, and nearly used for target practice more times than most ships have seen battles. And every single time, something extraordinary happened to save it. A poem, a petition, a stranger with a telegram, school children with pennies. The question is not just how it survived. The question is why America kept fighting so hard to keep it alive. This is the USS Constitution, and its story is stranger than any fiction the Navy could have invented. The Constitution was not built to last 228 years. When it was launched in Boston on October 21, 1797, wooden warships were expected to survive around 10 to 15 years at sea before rot and wear made them useless. The Navy built it anyway. The United States was a brand new country, barely 20 years old, and Barbary pirates from North Africa were seizing American merchant ships in the Mediterranean. They were kidnapping crews and holding them for ransom. 11 American ships were taken in, 1793 alone. Congress passed the Naval Act of 1794 and ordered 6 frigates built. Constitution was one of them. The designer was a man named Joshua Humphreys, and he had a specific problem to solve. The young American Navy would never have as many ships as the British or the French. So Humphreys built Constitution to be a different kind of ship entirely. Its hull was 24 inches thick, 3 separate layers of wood sandwiched together. The outer layer was white oak. The inner frame was live oak, a wood so dense it weighed 75 pounds per cubic foot. The copper bolts and sheathing were forged by Paul Revere himself. Constitution was 204 feet long and weighed 2,200 tons at full load. It could reach 13 knots, faster than almost any ship its size. Humphreys built it to outgun anything it could not outrun, and outrun anything it could not outgun. It cost $302,718 to build. That would be around $7 million today. Constitution first went to sea in July 1798 against French privateers in the Caribbean. It captured French ships, protected American merchants, and came home. Then it sailed to North Africa to fight the Barbary pirates. It bombarded Tripoli, blockaded ports, and ended up being the ship where a peace treaty was signed on June 3, 1805. It was 8 years old, and it had already done more than most ships do in a lifetime. But the moment that made it immortal came in the summer of 1812. The United States declared war on Britain on June 18, 1812. At that moment, the Royal Navy had 85 ships in American waters. The entire United States Navy had 22. It was not supposed to be close. On August 19, 1812, Constitution found the British frigate HMS Guerriere 400 miles off the coast of Nova Scotia. Captain James Dacres of the Guerriere was confident. He had reportedly told his crew he would take the American ship within 30 minutes. The battle lasted about 35 minutes. It just did not go the way Dacres expected. Guerriere fired first as the ships closed. The cannonballs fell short. Constitution kept coming. Then Guerriere fired again, this time at closer range. One British cannonball struck the side of the Constitution and bounced off. An American sailor on deck watched it happen and yelled out, "Her sides are made of iron." The name stuck. Old Ironsides was born in that moment. What happened next was not really a battle. Guerriere was torn apart. Its mizzenmast fell, then its foremast snapped. Then its mainmast collapsed. Within 35 minutes, the British ship was a crippled wreck with 30 holes in its hull. Constitution had barely a scratch on its wooden sides. Dacres had to surrender. When he tried to hand over his sword, American Captain Isaac Hull refused to take it. He said he could not accept the sword of a man who had fought so bravely. He also returned the Bible belonging to Dacres' mother. The next morning, it was clear Guerriere could not be saved. Hull ordered the wreck burned. Constitution sailed back to Boston. The crowds waiting for it were enormous. This is the part that got me when I was researching this. By the end of the War of 1812, the Constitution had defeated 5 British warships: the Guerriere, the Java, the Pictou, the Cyane, and the Levant, the most powerful navy in the world. The Navy that had defeated Napoleon could not beat this one American ship. And today, in 2026, the USS Constitution is the only active US Navy vessel that has ever sunk an enemy warship. The last other ship to hold that record was decommissioned in 2015. The only ship in the American fleet that has actually done the job is also the oldest. But none of that would matter if the Navy had gotten its way. Because after the war, it tried to destroy the Constitution repeatedly, and the American public stopped them every single time. The first attempt came in 1830. Constitution had been sitting in Boston Harbor for years, getting older, getting weaker. A routine inspection found it unseaworthy. The repairs would cost over $157,000, which Congress considered too expensive for a ship no longer needed for war. The order came to break it up for scrap. A Boston newspaper ran the story. A 21-year-old Harvard medical student named Oliver Wendell Holmes read it and wrote a poem overnight. He submitted it to the paper the next morning. The poem spread to every major newspaper in the country within days. The public outrage was immediate and overwhelming. The Navy reversed course. Constitution was repaired. The second attempt came in 1905. By then, the ship had been sitting for years again, rotting at its berth. The Secretary of the Navy, a man named Charles Bonaparte, publicly suggested towing the Constitution out to sea and using it for target practice. An Armenian immigrant named Moses Gulazian read the news and sent a telegram to the secretary. It read, "We'll give $10,000 for the Constitution, old Ironsides. Will you sell?" The Navy said no. Gulazian offered $15,000. The Navy said Congress would have to decide. The story hit the papers. Within weeks, 30,000 Bostonians had signed a petition. Congress appropriated $100,000 to restore the ship. The third attempt came in 1924. Constitution was leaking so badly that workers had to pump water out of its hold every single day just to stop it from sinking at the dock. The stern was in danger of falling off. This time, school children across the country were asked to donate their pennies to save old Ironsides. They raised $154,000 in small coins. Congress found the rest. Shipwrights gathered live oak from Florida, white oak from Ohio and West Virginia, and Douglas fir from Washington State. By 1931, 85% of the ship had been replaced. It was restored and recommissioned. It toured 90 American ports. 4.6 million people came to see it. And then it did something nobody expected. In 1997, for the first time in 116 years, the US Constitution sailed under its own power. It was the ship's 200th birthday. School children had again donated pennies to pay for the sails. The ship that had been condemned, nearly scrapped, nearly blown apart by target practice, nearly rotted to pieces on a pier, sailed out of Boston Harbor with the wind in its sails and a crew on its decks. Today, the Constitution sits at Pier 1 in Charlestown Navy Yard in Boston. It has 75 active-duty Navy sailors assigned to it. It sails once a year on the 4th of July for a turnaround cruise, firing a cannon salute and then turning around so that each side of the hull gets equal weathering from the harbor. It is visited by more than 500,000 people every year. Its commanding officer holds the rank of commander, a post considered special duty within the Navy. The assignment is treated as an honor. Here is something worth sitting with. The USS Constitution was designed in 1794 to outlast and outfight anything that came at it. It won every battle it was ever in. 5 British frigates, the most powerful navy on Earth, could not sink it. Rot, neglect, budget cuts, and the US government's own plans to destroy it could not sink it either. A poem stopped the first attempt. A telegram stopped the second. School children with pennies stopped the third. The Navy built it expecting 15 years of service. It has been afloat for 228. Almost none of the wood it was launched with still remains. But it is still a commissioned warship. It still has a crew. It still fires a gun. A ship that has been replaced piece by piece until almost nothing original remains. Still the same ship, still carrying the same name.